Hello, whoops, sorry, screamed that right into the microphone. Hello, everybody, happy Tuesday! Hello, friends, thank you guys so much for being here. I can always count on the OGs in the early gang. Dave, Charlie, Alice, Sal, Julian, I believe I saw Sean, yes. Nick, I believe I saw. Welcome, friends, welcome. Happy Tuesday. It is not a Jesus Lord. I did not realize why the past few weeks have I been accidentally messing that up and almost saying something foul, something offensive. It is not a dork discourse Tuesday. Tom is sitting back this time around. We discussed whether or not we would maybe even just postpone tonight's session, tonight's episode, tonight's live stream, because neither of us had watched either the latest Acolyte official trailer or the entirety of Tales of the Empire. He's not watched any of it leading up to today, so of course I had the privilege of being able to watch both of those, film my reactions to each. I was able to get that Acolyte reaction up before we went live this afternoon, so rather than skipping the stream, Tom opted to just sit this one out, so he is missed. But at the same time, I have not really just done... I used to do them so much more frequently, and I guess I kind of just subconsciously replaced them with Dork Discourse, but I have not just done a stream hanging out with you guys for a long hot minute. I used to do them again all the time. And it's not that we don't love Tom around here, and it can definitely be nice. There's many perks to having backup when live streaming, not being the only person talking the whole time. But, I haven't hung out with you guys, just us, don't tell Tom, in a long hot minute. So this is not an episode of Dork Discourse. This is just a hangout, chat, catch up on all of the festivities that I missed. Because in typical fashion, I was away. I could not be partaking in the festivities for May the 4th, 5th, or 6th this weekend. I was out of town for some family duties. Unfortunate, like the worst possible timing, but we're back playing catch up this week. Chad, what's up? Connor, what's up? Go Phils. Bryce just hit a grand slam. No freaking way. They are on fire. Well, are we still playing San Francisco? Or have we moved on to a different series? Because we were absolutely smoking the Giants. No offense to them. Mike Hill, what's up? Just finished watching your reaction to the Acolyte trailer. Thank you for checking it out. Night Owl stream. Holy smokes. Sal, you're right. We have not done one of those in so long. And they're so fun. You know what? Maybe I'll bring one back. Maybe we'll kick things off this weekend with a little Night Owl stream. That could actually be very fun. But yes, today I just wanted to do some catch up, hang out. Oh, we're playing Toronto now. Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad that it wasn't just good luck against San Francisco that we were having. I'm glad that we can continue on a good streak, because normally this is very out of character for the Phillies. I feel like we usually don't always get off to the best start. We usually have to warm up, and then we play our best in the summer, and then sometimes we dip again, and then we can bring it back around before playoffs and just barely make our way in sometimes. So I'm glad. We're off to a good start. Hopefully I didn't just jinx it. Guitars and Death Stars were the best username ever. What's up? Thank you for tuning in. Sal has his Planet of the Apes tickets. No freaking way. Oh my god, I have to rewatch like all of them. Because I'm actually really want to see this new one. It looks phenomenal. My most anticipated film of this year, Apes Together Strong. Yes, I know Sal is a big Planet of the Apes fan. Oh, and you so very kindly sent me all of those Blu-rays that I can now watch. So that would be perfect. That would totally aid in my quest to rewatch them all. I think the Phillies have one of the best records in the league. Thank gosh we do. For a small time here. Again, let's not jinx it. Moth Tom will be missed tonight. He misses you guys. But I feel like I can speak on his behalf on some topics. I usually try not to, but we're going to talk about, we got to catch up on so many things today. Where do we start, folks? We've got the Bad Batch finale. We've got Tales of the Empire, Acolyte. I don't know if we'll dwell on Acolyte for too long, because I don't really have anything new to add to any of the other conversations that we've had about it here on the channel after the initial teaser dropped. I don't really think this new trailer answered some things and gives some more context. There's more I think that we can draw from to piece some of the story together in this new kind of extended trailer here, but I think it just really nicely piggybacked off of what the teaser released. There's still clearly a lot being held back, obviously. I don't want them to spoil everything, which leads me to my next point. So I don't know if I'm going to dwell too long on Acolyte, because nothing about this trailer, it still got me hyped, and I'm still freaking excited as frick. Other than perhaps the new face reveal, the new face drop, mask drop, rather, of that scary thing with the teeth. Who was saying it earlier? Was it Lord Fowl? Suggesting that smile looked familiar. Yes, I think I saw your comment on my video. Comparing it to Abeloth, perhaps. And yes, a new Lego Star Wars special in September. in the midst of me scouring the Star Wars YouTube page to make sure I didn't miss anything to react to, I saw that and was like, oh man. But I've not actually watched that yet. I didn't know that was even happening. So yeah, lots going down. But I don't think I have, beyond that the tease of who this new antagonist could be, this new Sith-like whatever it is that's going to be plaguing the Jedi. I don't think I have too much to say, unless other people want to chime in about Acolyte. We might be flopping back and forth between all the topics. Kyle, what's up? Let's go! We might be flip-flopping between all of the topics this evening, but I think I want to discuss... I mean, I feel like I shared most of my thoughts on Bad Batch finale, but we can maybe save that for the end. I think I want to mainly discuss the Tales of the Empire. I did include in the description, sweet lord, I included down in the description, God, I can't talk, that we will be discussing spoilers, most likely. Sorry. I opened Uber Eats like 5 minutes ago, which is a mistake, because anytime you order that app, it just heckles you, and it's like, you're hungry, So my phone's blowing up with notifications, I'm sorry. Dave says, not trying to be a downer, but I was disappointed with Tales of the Empire, especially with the Barriss arc. Well, let's talk about it. I was suspecting that there were probably going to be a lot of mixed opinions surrounding this installment here. I was able to evade spoilers over the weekend, but I did see one post, which didn't sway me one way or the other, but I did see one person share that they felt that Tales of the Jedi was stronger than Tales of the Empire. Again, that didn't, jade my opinion at all going in. I was still excited to check them out. And I'm curious to hear more from you, Dave, because I was a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say disappointed, but perhaps maybe underwhelmed by the Morgan Elsbeth arc. And maybe it's because we know her fate, we know her final destiny, when she goes into all of this. And if anything, it's interesting. I almost wish that we had gotten this before Ahsoka. I think it's almost not wasteful, but it kind of feels a little... Listen, I liked both. You guys know, everything I say on here, even when I delve into some of my critiques more, it comes under the umbrella of I still ultimately liked it. And I would rather have this content than not have it. I need to put that blanket statement over everything because you guys know how it is. But I do feel a little more critical than usual. I don't know, I kind of left Tales of the Empire feeling just a little bit underwhelmed and questioning if this timing was right, because I left Morgan Elsbeth's arc feeling like it made me more intrigued in her character, but I guess it's just the kind of I don't know. It came at a cost because it's like, all right, well, I'm more interested in her layers here. She's incredibly dynamic, and I felt so much more fearful of her than I have. Like she's always been a very intriguing antagonist, and I'm glad that she went from literally being a one episode, starring role in Mando season 2 to having a full-fledged arc, which I thought was some of the most intriguing aspects of the Ahsoka series. Um, that said, I felt more fearful of her. Ahsoka, I really was kind of empathizing for her there at the end. So I guess I went from, maybe it's just an interesting transition of my perception of Morgan Elsbeth, because Ahsoka, where she leaves off and how she meets her fate, you really kind of pity her, because Thrawn really just throws her to the side like yesterday's trash. She becomes abundantly aware of how expendable she kind of is to him, but she still went out like doing her duty, like with honor. Um, I don't know. It's interesting. So I went from having empathy to her to then feeling almost even more petrified by her in her Tales of the Empire arc, because it made it abundantly clear how just driven by rage she is, and she lives in just this state of if I have to live in suffering, then so must everybody else. um so yeah, I don't I not that I was let down by Morgan's arc, but it just felt interesting, because if anything I was like, I wish these were longer than 15 minutes, because I still feel like we're only scratching the surface of her character here. The fact that she's so motivated by her hatred and fueled by this just darkness and anger that she just allows to pollute everybody else. That's what drives her. And so by the end, I just I still felt like I didn't understand her fully. Like there's still so many layers to her, but it's kind of like, all right, I want to see more of her, but she's deceased. So, Dawnline dude, what's up? We are talking Tales of the Empire. We're talking some spoilers. Yes, if you are all tuning in, sorry, I just went on a little rant, a little mini tangent about Morgan Elsbeth there. Sorry, I'm gonna actually place this order real quick for Uber Eats. It's harassing me, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. It knows what I want. How's everybody's week going so far? As I'm quickly stalling to do this, I was maybe gonna just pause to the break screen, but I was like, no, we literally just got started. I can't do that. Okay. Quick. I think that's everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me 30 seconds, not even that. Not even. Bada boom. Bada bing. Alright, now we can get back. Into it. Sorry, that was my one task that Tom gave me. Place dinner order during this stream. So I had to make sure before I went down too many tangents, too many rabbit holes, that I remembered to do it. Anywho, where are we? I really liked how Morgan exemplified what Merrin was warning Cal Kestis about, not letting the fire consume you. You know what? Really good point. Very good point. Because that's what I was kind of going back and forth with. It's like we've seen other Night Sisters have that, be able to bounce back from watching the demise of their people. Also, sorry, I realize I've had my hand here right in front of the light. It's creating a scary shadow. We've seen other Night Sisters bounce back, and just other characters in general in the Star Wars canon, witness the annihilation of their families and still instead use that to try to make change for good. Versus we do see that Morgan makes something of it. She obviously builds up this reputation, this point to become a magistrate with her smarts. That's something that is really interesting to learn more about. She was genuinely really smart and had these talents. Shout out to whoever changed the light, Sean. Thank you. Yes, members, you guys can change the lights. Let's bathe you in some new light. Thanks, Sean. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just feel conflicted because by the end with Morgan Elsbeth, I don't feel like we necessarily learned too much more than what we already knew. We just kind of became privy to the events that we knew were there. We knew formed her, but it did flesh her out to the point that I became more fearful of her as an antagonist because she is just so purely blindly just encompassed by that rage that fuels everything she does. Like by the end there in the final episode, I was even questioning, like, what is she gaining from enslaving this town still, even in the age of the New Republic when the Empire's totally gone? Like, she has every opportunity to potentially start a new life. Like, yes, would she probably be arrested and charged as like a war criminal during, you know, the rise of the establishment of the New Republic? Potentially. But we know that they have that kind of rehabilitation program, that kind of conversion program, the second chance, you know, transitions that they're offering, you know, former Imperial employees or whatnot. So like she could have potentially had every opportunity to walk away, recognize that the Empire's gone and that there's nothing more that she can gain from this role as the magistrate here other than just for the fun of it enslaving and torturing these people, this whole planet. So I don't that's what was so made me so fearful, like the fact that even then she still wouldn't let go of her grip and clearly was just doing it for the sake of inflicting suffering on others because she's suffered so much. Those are some of the most dangerous people. It's like, if I can't be happy, nobody can. So it made me more intrigued, but it's almost just upsetting because it's like, well, I wish we'd gotten all of this sooner because I'm so fearful of her and now she's dead, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I didn't know how to feel after that one. But let's talk about Barriss, because I think, in my opinion, that's the one I was just, more excited about. No offense, Morgan. I was intrigued by them both, and I was intrigued by the parallels of these two women in their kind of respective downfalls or whatnot, and rise to power and darkness. So I think I want to talk more about Barriss just in particular, because also, why was it that the marketing was so... I feel like all of the trailers revealed pretty much the entirety of Morgan Elsbeth's episodes, like, especially because they're so short. Even just the material in a 1 minute long teaser, I feel like, reveals almost too much. So for all three of Morgan Elsbeth's episodes, I really just felt like, yeah, trailer moment, trailer moment, trailer moment. Like, there really weren't any surprises, you know, kind of, versus after cut scene, end scene, roll credits on Barriss's first episode, I literally was like, where do we go from here? Because I don't think we'd seen everything that we saw in the trailer for her arc had happened in that first episode. So I was like, holy smokes, where are we gonna go? And I felt like more excited, and there I think were more twists. So let me, I know I've been ranting. I want to hear mainly from you guys, because again, I just freshly watched it and I wasn't able to partake in any of the Twitter discourse really this weekend. So let's hear what you guys have to say. We did get Vader sitting on a throne. We did. We did. After watching the 6 episodes, I was like, the series would have been better if we would have gotten the origins of Moff Gideon and the Empire, or Rey Sloane origin too. In my opinion, we barely saw the Empire. Honestly, that's fair. Sal, now that you mention it, we really didn't see much of it at all in Barriss's arc. It's more kind of like Tales of an Inquisitor rather than the Empire. I feel like the biggest snippets we got of the Empire necessarily were kind of just like the rhetoric and propaganda that she clearly wasn't buying. Like, oh, the Jedi were treasonous. They won't save you, you know. Bend the knee to the Empire and show your loyalty, and that's what will bring you peace, you know, that kind of diluted propaganda that her fellow Inquisitor sister, I forget her number, was preaching during their missions and whatnot. But that's fair. Yeah, no, I you know what, until you pointed that out, I didn't even really recognize that, but that's a good point. I was hoping full closure with Barris, but they let Barris survive. If they let her survive, who knows? Maybe she'll be in Ahsoka season 2. But I really thought we'd see Vader recognize Barris and then try to train her. Right? That was something I think we all were unanimously like, there's gotta be some recognition there. There has to be. But I guess not. Or if there was, he kept it to himself, because I think also if he were to lash out at her, you know, we know Palpatine's watching his every move, perhaps. If he shows any sort of, if he has any sort of lashing out that is clearly originated from Anakin Skywalker, I think Palpatine would have been on him a little more and judgmental about that and checking to see, like, you good? Your head on straight? Like, are you in the game, locked in, focused on true priorities here? Is your head on straight? I'm sorry. I don't know why that turn of speech came to mind. But yeah, no, it went a complete different direction. Yeah, this is what I want to talk to you guys about. What does everybody think? The ending was so ambiguous, which I guess is perhaps meant to be perhaps purposeful if they're trying to integrate her in the future, the possibility there for Barris. I will say, forgive me if I don't think she is fully dead, because let's be honest, everyone and their mother in recent Star Wars history has gotten absolutely gutted to the abdomen, and survived, you know, in recent Star Wars history. I don't mean this at all as a critique, but you kind of can't ignore, like, you know, Cal got to the abdomen in Fallen Order. You know, it happened to Reva when she was 8, and then again, you know, in her adulthood, it happens to Sabine Wren. Like, everybody's kind of getting absolutely, it seems like Qui-Gon Jinn's the only person who can take a lightsaber to the stomach and die on sight, on the spot. Everybody else is able to escape that death, seemingly, in Star Wars, which is fine. They have technology that we don't. So it's not that I don't believe it, but it's almost like Boy Who Cried Wolf. It's happened so many times at this point, and nobody's fatally wounded from it. So forgive me if I don't think she maybe died. I'm sorry. Maybe that is a genuine critique, because it's kind of just like, all right, things that are seemingly fatal in the prequels no longer have the same toll, you know, aren't mortal in down the line. I don't know if that's, feel free to check me on it. I don't know. I don't mean it as a critique, but it just kind of is like, all right, it's happened enough at this point that I just don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? I think similar kind of mindset with Tech's death in, you know, the Bad Batch season 2, and how kind of all the entirety of season 3, so many of us were still kind of maybe swirling around the possibility that he could have survived and he could still be alive somehow. It's like, nobody ever really dies in Star Wars too much anymore. If you don't see the body, it doesn't count. And if they take a saber to the belly, as long as they get medical treatment in a proper fashion and in a timely fashion, they'll be okay. So we can totally discuss. I think that's what I really liked, how ambiguous the ending was, because it threw me off. And I think it leaves it open to interpretation for the viewer. Like, it felt very much like Dave Filoni just kind of punking all of us to see where we will go with it, where we want to see it go. But I don't know, I really grappled, because, you know, they made a point to show they're in that ice cold cave. It's frigid out, freezing temperatures. You can see both of their, you know, smoky breath in the frigid temps, you know, and they made a point to show that Barris is, you know, it looked like she'd stopped breathing. There was no longer smoke coming out. So, I don't, it's not smoke, you know what I mean. But I don't know. So I was curious to hear immediately. That was my biggest thing that I wanted to rally with you guys and see what everyone thinks. Sabersmith says that Thrawn, the Grand Inquisitor, Grievous, and Vader looked the best I've ever seen them. Agree 1000%. Thrawn and G.I. were fantastic in Clone Wars animation. Also, side profile, Vader was chef's kiss. It was. Tell me why that looked real. Okay, tell me why that one shot looked so realistic. Oh, it was so crisp. It was beautiful. And Thrawn, I swear I blacked out because I was just looking at his cheekbones. And this style of animation looked so good. I couldn't stop looking at them. I almost had to rewind the scene because I was just looking at it. The light hit it perfectly. If anything, the animation was spot on. It was. They just keep stepping it up. Just gets beautiful, more and more beautiful as they go on. Sean, I second this hard. Animation and music were spot on. Agreed. I'm glad that they didn't try to humanize Morgan. Not all bad guys need that. You know what? Fair, Stanley's fair. Sometimes the most terrifying people. I'm a big advocate for that. I do love when antagonists reveal some vulnerability in humanity because it almost makes it more terrifying that they're capable of having some good, yet they still do the things that they do for a reason. So to know that someone's capable of having humanity almost makes it more terrifying when they do horrific things. Like kind of like Barris. You know, I was very shocked by, you know, the way where we're coming from going into her arc here. It's like the last thing we ever saw her do was inflict absolute terror, you know, like resort to acts of extreme violence to get her point across. So it's like she's an interesting onion to peel as well here, like a very interesting character study, because it's like I don't know if I'm rooting for her. Like the last thing we saw her do was terrible. It was atrocious. It was tragic and people died. You know, she framed Ahsoka too. Like when you frame everyone's favorite character, like that does not bode well. So, you know, I didn't go into this necessarily rooting for her, but I think if anything, I was expecting worse from her. So when she started to show some more, I guess her true colors, like her coming around, staying true to like the things that drove her to do the awful things that she did, but I don't know, I recognize that maybe wasn't the right way to handle. I don't know, the Barrish we see in the final episode of her arc is obviously so different from the teenage version that we know her to be. So, but no, I agree entirely. Not everybody needs. It can be equally terrifying if someone has not a single shroud of humanity and they just act entirely on behalf of their rage and anger. So that's exactly, I'd argue, what the premise of Morgan Elsbeth's arc was. She acts out of hatred. It's funny when everyone's pissed that somebody survives lightsaber stabs, but when Barriss gets stabbed and dies, everyone loses their mind. Did she die though? Like again, I believed it. I would believe it if you say that she did, especially because she kind of had like a Padme moment. Like I think she would have been at peace with that. It almost seems like she wanted to. She told everybody else, you know, get on my ship and don't come back. So I think she went into it knowing that she might not make it out alive. So it seemed very much that she was at peace with that versus, I guess, everybody else who's been absolutely shanked in the gut doesn't want to die as willingly. I don't know. They have more will to keep going. Well, they did bring Ventress back, so they can bring back Magistrate Elsbeth. That's true. At this point, everybody's on the table for a return. If Barriss, to be fair, Barriss was still breathing at the end. Was she? I thought the smoke stopped. I keep saying smoked. I thought it stopped coming out of her. I don't know. A Moff Gideon storyline with his origin, in my opinion, would have been more epic. Him possibly starting the Imperial Project Darksaber would have planted seeds. We barely got the Empire in the series. No, that's very fair. That's very fair. Luckily, I think we're getting more of these tales of installments. I hope. There's so many options of where it could go. So we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, Tales felt kind of pointless this time around because it didn't really add anything to overall story of Star Wars. That's fair as well. And again, I say this as I put out my blanket statement. Like, I did like it, and I would much rather have this content than not have it. And I still had a lot of fun watching it and reacting to it. And there were some very cool parts of each storyline. But yeah, with Morgan Elsbeth in particular, I thought we would see more, you know, more, I don't know, more of her working with Thrawn versus it kind of then immediately cut to what we already know. Like, she becomes this awful magistrate who, you know, all but enslaves this town. Corvus, is that what it is? So, you know, it kind of didn't feel like it was contributing much beyond everything that we already had been privy to, other than just, you know, heightening the fear factor surrounding that she'll just go to any length to maintain her grip and control in the name of just pure rage and hatred. Um, Sorry, that's my little reading the chat sound effect. All right, I'm gonna catch up. I'm gonna do a quick lightning round. Holy smokes, because I totally lost it. Okay. Whoa, I'm so behind. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna. Bear stopped breathing. I watched it twice. All right, so she did stop breathing. I was disappointed that the Bad Batch finale didn't link to Snoke clones or Palpatine and explain some of the sequel stuff like we thought it might. Yeah, it kind of did leave. I think there was room that they could have revealed or teased a little bit more. It really kind of built up this secrecy here and never gave us kind of a reward for it. It's like, we know what happens. Show us a little bit more of the process, you know? I'd honestly say the first Barris episode was better than the rest of it. It was really good. I think for me, it was interesting to see her kind of trepidation at being recruited into the Inquisitorius. I wasn't expecting that she'd be so kind of like hesitant about it. I wish they'd actually used Vader more than just showing him sitting on the throne. I know, I wanted him to just say something. Yeah, it was such a tease. Animation was phenomenal. I agree 1000%, Charlie. I'll have to watch it today. Alice, I'm sorry if I've been spoiling all of it for you. Same, I liked how we didn't see much of Barris' story in the trailer, right? They showed really only clips from her first episode, which led me to believe that her whole arc was going to be about her time as an Inquisitor, training, how grueling that process was going to be, which we do see a little bit of it, but then it was totally open-ended after that. One of Barris's tests should have been hunting and fighting Master Luminara to find out how she ends up in Rebels. I thought that might happen. I definitely preferred the Barris episodes. I would have liked a little more from her still, but I get the sense that they're planning on having her make more appearances down the line. I'd imagine. One thing I do think they handle well is seeing the demand for characters when they fit into the story, or where they're applicable. One thing I wanted to ask you guys, you know, Barris, when we see her in her final episode, she's this healer, you know, she's obviously on a much different path. She's totally abandoned the Inquisitor way and lifestyle and whatnot, so she's totally kind of mended. And she even says, you know, she says everything I did in my past was a very long time ago, you know, very much implying that it doesn't reflect on her now. So it's much more peaceful, at peace version of Barris, who I think also came to forgive herself of all the crimes that she kind of committed, you know? So when she's volunteering to stay behind to fight off the Inquisitor to allow this family to escape with their child, you know, she says, go to these coordinates. I have a friend there. She'll help you. Part of me was curious, like, you know, all of us went into this wondering if this could set up for Barris still being a lingering enemy for Ahsoka in Ahsoka Season 2, but now that we see that she's really healed and done the work to kind of make up for her past, I was curious, like, do you guys think that she could have healed her relationship, like, with Ahsoka, perhaps? Is that the she that she's referring to? Where she's sending this family and their innocent child? I don't know. That was just what came to my mind, because who else? I mean, I guess it could literally be anybody. But curious what you guys think. Barris got her legend status as a healer in the end. She might just live. Right? That's why I was like, work some magic on yourself. She can heal herself if she wants to, though. That's why I was like, she seems okay. She seemed kind of content to die. So that's why I was like, Vader doesn't care about Barris, but Anakin does. Agreed, Sabersmith. And I think that's why they didn't go the recognition route of him having a little confrontation quarrel with her. You know, because it definitely would show, like, as a sign of weakness, just a reflection that Anakin hasn't been fully taken over yet. Something that pissed me off in episode 5, the Inquisitor left the Jedi alive. I'm like, Inquisitors would never do that. They would either kill or capture the Jedi. Incredibly foolish. And I do agree. I was like, you gotta do the double tap. she made sure everybody else in that village didn't make it out alive, that's for sure. Um, I don't know. Yeah, no, I was curious. I was like, wouldn't you check to finish the job? But it also could have been a sign of just like, um, what's a word to describe it? Overly confident, like she doesn't need to double tap because one little switch of her blade is enough to do the job. I don't know. Um, every time this happens, Qui-Gon Jinn curses in Force Heaven. I know. I'm relieved that Tech remained dead. Glad they didn't cheat that sacrifices. Yeah, well, we can definitely talk about this more. I'm gonna finish lightning rounding here. Oh, true, Ben Solo. I forget. He took one to the belly too. Well, I wanted Tech to be alive for a more gut-wrenching reveal, not hope of his return. Yeah, no, I definitely have thoughts. I definitely have thoughts that we can elaborate on. I was definitely in all of the Tech is alive conspiracy theories, but I do love how pivotal his sacrifice was in achieving that happy ending for his family. Barriss is dead until someone needs her for a show. Qui-Gon's the only Jedi these days that doesn't survive a stabbing. Excuse me. Barriss couldn't sense anything familiar about Vader because his presence in the Force is totally different. That's fair. She never would have had an idea, and he wouldn't give that up either. He would have to kill her if he revealed anything, you know. It was the fourth sister saying, "Thank you, Dom. That's her number. I'm going to get you out of here." That makes me think that Barriss is still alive, right? Perhaps she used some of her own life force to heal Barriss, like how Rey healed Ben Solo. That I agreed with. Because, you know, I think it could still apply in both scenarios if she was deceased. You know, I can imagine her saying, you know, I'm going to lay you to rest elsewhere. You know, I'm not going to let you just die in this cave. You know, I'll take you to a more peaceful place. And, you know, I could imagine. So, you know, I believe it both ways. But yeah, when she said that, I was like, that to me implies not only is she changing her ways, having a change of heart, but her first act, her first order of business of changing her destiny is to save Barriss. I liked the Morgan arc more. Interesting, Sal. I liked seeing the origin of the TIE Defenders. That was a nice twist. That's a good point. I wish Thrawn was in it for a few more minutes, but I liked those episodes more. Yeah, I really thought he would have been. To see more of her kind of serving him, I think I would have preferred, you know, maybe a storyline that we really don't know, that we've never heard of or seen before, to kind of really bolster, like, why she's so faithful to him. You know, why she literally just hides out and becomes a hermit here on Corvus, overtaking, you know, this town even beyond the Empire's reign. You know, why does she dedicate really her whole life to serving him even after he's gone with seemingly no return? You know, why does she remain so faithful to that, her destiny, as she said, which is to kind of bring him back and serve him and reignite the Empire? I would have preferred maybe a story, you know, an interaction, an episode dedicated to the two of them to really bolster, you know, her decision to stand by and sacrifice herself to allow for his escape, you know. Like, yeah, it definitely plants the seed of Thrawn's one person who saw something in her and gave her this opportunity, you know? And so therefore, naturally, you would feel loyal to somebody who would have granted you that when everybody else was tearing you down, you know, not giving you the same acknowledgement for your talents. But I think I would have preferred something else in place of that third episode, because if I'm being entirely honest, you know, I liked it because it heightened the fact that she's kind of just so deranged at that point. It's like, even though the Empire's gone, you still won't let these people go. And for what? Other than just sheer, you know, she just feeds off of their suffering. Like, if she must suffer, then so must they. But yeah, beyond that, I would have preferred maybe something else to kind of just amplify the dynamic between her and Theron, and why just kind of shine more light on why she serves him so devotedly. Um, why can't bad guys just stay bad? Well, that was the case. That was the case with Morgan. Um, Jacob Perez, what's up? They kind of overdo the bad guy redemption these days. I just want a bad guy to stay bad. That's fair. That is fair. Danny, thank you so much, my friend. I hope everyone is doing great. I had the honor of watching the re-release and historic feature-worthing Fort Worth Theater. Sorry, I can't read. From May 4th, then watched episode 1 at Cinemark the next morning. It made me look at these films in a whole new light. Yeah, Tom and I are actually going to see The Phantom Menace there in theaters. I think it was only going on for a little bit longer. And as I mentioned to you guys, I wasn't able to do freaking anything Star Wars related this weekend. So we're finally gonna go see it. I'm so freaking excited. I've literally beyond... Tom really put it into perspective for me. Beyond, I've never actually watched any of the Star Wars films in theaters aside from the sequels, which really put things into perspective. Because you guys know I'm definitely like a prequel baby, and so to finally, for both of us to be able to see these, you know, on the big screen, especially Phantom Menace. I think I don't know what order my parents made me watch them. And I do feel like I started with the original trilogy as a child, but I think the Phantom Menace is the first one that really clicked for me. Like, whoa, I don't know. Not that I didn't like the originals, but maybe it's just I have more conscious memories of watching like the Phantom Menace, like that being my first real impression, like when I really started to pay like attention. Perhaps I was a kid, all right, I was like below the age of 5 probably, so Phantom Menace I think stuck out to me. So I'm that in particular, like I'm ready. I'm so excited. So if you guys have seen it, I hope you guys had a good time. Jerry, what's up? A little late, but I made it. You did indeed. Thank you for tuning in. How has it already been 40 minutes? This is crazy. I feel like we've barely even broached any of these subjects. But we're not gonna go for too long this evening. I can't believe time's already flown. I guess we can segue. That's pretty much all I've wanted to say really about Tales of the Empire. I will be curious to hear what Tom has to say. But yeah, to summarize, the Barriss arc was definitely my preferred. I really did like... You'll see in my reaction, it might take me a hot second to get those up. I'm probably going to split them into... That's another thing that I was intrigued about, because for two characters that I feel like have a lot of parallels, I was expecting the episodes to be spliced, to be released in similar fashion to Tales of the Jedi. I'm not crazy, right? You guys remember it would be a Dooku episode, then an Ahsoka one, and then it would kind of flash back and forth between the two. And I don't know, I feel like for two characters that I feel like don't have a lot of similarities, it kind of just allowed you to, I don't know, identify or, I don't know, pick out and observe some kind of interesting parallels or juxtapositions of their respective storylines, seeing their episodes back to back versus watching all three of them in a row. So I was curious because I was expecting them to do the same thing for these two ladies here, Morgan and Barriss, because they have a lot of parallels. Kind of opposite parallels, you know, like, I don't want to spoil everything I said in my review, although I feel like I already have, but anyway, all of this is to say that I'll probably be releasing them as a, you know, a Morgan trio and then the Barriss trio as respective reactions. So stay tuned for those. Might take me a little bit to edit, but I'm going to release them both at the same time so that you can go and watch them back and forth. So I don't want to spoil everything that I said in my reviews of those, but I did really like how you'll see, I was so confused at the end of the Barriss arc. I was like, what? So yes, Rob, Hello, good to see you, my friend. Seeing The Phantom Menace with my friends in '99, the first new Star Wars movie of my life, was an experience I'll never forget. Truly, oh, that's so. I just love hearing your guys' experiences, detailing the theatrical, what it was like, back at the time. Wish I could have known I was only a toddler. Anyway, yes, I wanted to piggyback on the Tech remaining dead, and just we can segue a little bit into the Bad Batch finale here. Yeah, I kind of really wish I saw somebody make a really good point on Twitter that maybe we all wouldn't have been theorizing so much if the nature surrounding Tech's death wasn't left so open ended, and I think it felt that way, as this person pointed out, because they never really fully officially grieved, like, as a group, and really kind of expressed. I guess you could argue that they did have that shared moment when, Omega wakes up and is processing everything after it happened, and they make their escape thanks to Tech sacrificing himself. But it's brief, because then immediately, Sid rats them out, and Hemlock shows up to abduct Omega. So they really kind of don't have a hot second as a team to process everything. And so we, as the audience, kind of don't either. And then we immediately see his, demolished, beaten up glasses. It all kind of just felt very much like a little bit of a tease, like just the circumstances of how the events preceded his, or rather followed his death, really, I think, set it up so that we all were kind of contemplating, like, did this happen? Like, they never really fully mourned him. I don't know. So, like, I wish it had been more set in stone without all of that kind of conspiracy swirling, because I wish I could have just I mentally decided pretty early on in the season, maybe midway through, that there was no way Tech was going to be one of these shadow clones. But I was just thinking about how devastating that would absolutely be, and what a wild storyline that would be. It would be tragic, but the way the season was, ending up, it wasn't heading that route. So, I kind of do wish, though, like, even after I had made the mental acceptance, like, all right, Tech is definitely dead, and the way that things are shaping up, there's no way, there's no room even for them to, bring him back in any capacity, whether it's for real or whether it's as one of these clone assassins that Hemlock has, like a science experiment, rather. Like, that's what these are, that Hemlock has, revived. And so, in hindsight, I really kind of wished, I kind of felt like a fool after the finale, which I really appreciated that. For Star Wars, it was so different in the fact that everybody actually lived and it was like a happy ending. I was not expecting that going in. Even though, yes, I know I had kept saying to you guys, I believed that everybody was going to survive. Like, no part of me really actually bought that they were going to kill off every person, even just one person. All of that said, I kind of still felt like a fool, because I still had spent so much of season 3 really thinking, like, is Tech dead? And that didn't prove to be, beneficial, pivotal to the story at all. So it kind of felt, not like I'd wasted all that time thinking about it, but I just wish that they had solidified it more. Really, like, I don't know, because here I am saying, I wish they'd made it more obvious. And then there's some people in the fandom who would, refute that and say, they did. He literally fell, plummeted out of the sky. Like, that's as solidified as it gets. So, that's fair too. But I kind of just wish, rather, the grieving process had been leaned into a little bit more to really kind of express, like, he's not coming back. So yeah, but I am glad, because that would have been way too rushed. If that was, I knew that was not on the table at all going into the finale, because even going into it, I thought it was still going to be like 20 minutes long. So that just would have felt way too rushed up against everything else that they still had to address in that final episode. So I'm glad for once somebody stayed dead in Star Wars. If they had brought him back, I think that really would have started like a culture war in our fandom, because there is so much of an argument of, is death permanent, anymore in the Star Wars universe? I know I question that. I feel that way. They started it with Assad Ventress with some people. So, but yeah, overall, I really thought that finale was. Y'all saw me. I cried. It made me so much more emotional than I thought, because I would argue as a whole, like, I felt attached to these characters, the Bad Batch as a group. Like, I guess that's where their dynamic was strongest, like their relationships as a team. I don't know if they all necessarily really got equal parts individualized character development beyond, like, Omega, Tech more so in season 2, and Crosshair throughout the entire show. He was the most developed out of all of them, I would argue. But I think that being one of my minor criticisms, I still felt like so attached to them, their group dynamic, them as a unit, as a team. So, but I wasn't expecting, to be bawling my eyes out like that at the end. There was actually so much crying, y'all, that I had to edit out of my final reaction. I make it look like I only was sobbing for a few minutes, but it was actually bad. I was like wheezing. So yeah, that was just what I was so appalled by. I was like, I didn't realize how attached to them I was. Do 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 do. Sorry, I've lost my place in the chat. Look, I talk about Bad Batch for 2 seconds and now I'm trying to replicate their accents. I went to the theater Friday and saw Phantom Menace. That is amazing. Did anybody go do that, like, the full saga marathon that cost like $130 per ticket? Jerry, member for 23 months at master level. Thank you so much, my friend. I really thought that Crosshair was not gonna make it, but I'm glad everybody did make it. I really liked how they ended it. It was a very good ending for the series. I agree entirely, especially right there at the end, or rather than like towards the beginning of the episode when he was suggesting, like, I have to do this. It's what I deserve. Like, absolute gut-wrenching stuff. This poor guy. And you guys know I had prefaced everything by saying I'd gone on several rants defending my thesis that I think that it would have been the worst decision in the world to kill off Crosshair. I did get so angry in that moment. I actually almost like tuned out, almost just blacked out and stopped caring about the episode until they made it abundantly clear when Hunter and Wrecker stepped in to shut down that idea and be like, shut the frick up. We're doing this as a team. Sorry, I swallowed spit. No matter what happens, we're going in there together. After that, I was like, all right, there is no way they're killing off, like, Crosshair after that. They pretty much put the kibosh on that. But for a split second until that, I was actually raging inside, y'all. You can actually probably see the moment in my reaction where I, like, tuned out. I was about to just give the frick up. I'm so glad that they didn't do that. So, yes. But thank you. Sorry, I just, like, blacked out. Thank you, Jerry, for your membership for 23 months. Holy shnikes. I just fathomed that number. That's crazy. I was really concerned for Wrecker. I cannot believe he lived. He was getting so beat up. It started with him getting absolutely bodied by that monster thing in the jungle in the previous episode leading up. So he went into that finale already in bad shape. I really thought so too with Wrecker, because that would have been a gut punch. Because everybody loves Wrecker. I don't think a single person doesn't like him. So that would have hurt everybody. I thought they were all gonna die, and that's why we didn't see them in Rebels or anything in the future. That's fair. Literally, if Tom were here, he would tell you that he thought the same thing. That's the one thing I think I can speak on his behalf about. I don't really actually know how he felt about the finale, because he literally had to watch it, and then immediately we left to go get on a plane, a red-eye that night. So, like, I don't even know if he fully had time to process it properly, because we were kind of in a rush. But I know he went into it anticipating that everybody was going to get absolutely annihilated. And when they didn't, the complete opposite of what his prediction was came to fruition. So I think he was a little disappointed that it maybe wasn't as dark as he would have hoped. Um, no Sid. Yep, thank gosh. That's maybe one of the main reasons why this season was so strong. I know I'm gonna sound annoying. You guys don't have to preface if you have anything to say, literally anything at all to say, whether it's good, critique, constructive criticism about Star Wars, whatever you have to say, unless you're being like mean about it, which I know none of you would be. You do not have to preface anything by saying that you're gonna sound annoying, because you are not. Your opinions are not annoying. Anyway, Alice, you're the queen, so literally nothing you say is annoying. But Alice says nothing really came out of that last season, which makes me feel like they wasted 3 years of our life for no reason. That's fair. That's really fair, and I've seen that be the discussion online. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that really came of this show was just the relationships, and just it really was just like a focus on these characters and their love for each other as kind of a microcosm of the loyalty that clones will have for each other no matter what, no matter how much the Empire tries to rip them apart, manipulate them, make them their absolute dog like Crosshair really was, for a time being. No matter what the Empire tries to do to, expend these clones, stretch them to their limits, they will prevail because they have loyalty at the end of the day. I think that was the overarching. I think the Bad Batch as a group, as a family unit, they were the kind of vessel for that, message, that moral. So, so that said, yeah, did anything when the show started, where we were in the timeline, knowing that this was piggybacking immediately off of Clone Wars finale, I was expecting a lot more about the time period, this specific era in Star Wars, from this show, which is an era that I still have so much questions about. It's still such a tumultuous time. And they did tap into it, with the rumblings in the Senate, the fear that Palpatine really has, the chokehold that he has on everybody. I still think one of the highlights of this show, to really just paint the perfect picture of this timeline, was his appearance in the Senate, Senate meeting room, and it's just struck fear in everybody, and everybody peed their pants. That, I think, was one of the best, 2-minute long scenes in this show that perfectly captured, with just one monologue from him, how terrified everybody is of him, senators included in that, but that he still has such a grip, and he'll throw anyone under the bus, including his own people, including his own Imperials, in order to maintain that. So yeah, I still have so many questions. The show wasn't what I was expecting it to be, but I'm not unhappy with how it turned out, and I was moved. Like, I can't deny, if something makes me cry as much as I did, especially when I wasn't expecting, like, that speaks volumes to me and indicates, like, I clearly felt more. Whether I knew it or not, I felt something for these characters, and I can't deny that. I also feel like a hypocrite if I cry, in these reactions, and then I'm like, yeah, it wasn't that good though. Like, no, it clearly moved me. It wasn't what I was expecting. The whole entirety of the show, the finale, how positive it turned out to be, how much everyone survived, none of it was really what I thought it was going to be going in, but that's okay. And what it turned out to be is still, like, I left feeling like, dang, I really want to rewatch all of this. Because, the transformation of Omega and, Crosshair, and just the whole Batch dynamic, where they start, knowing that Tech is actually dead. And so to be able to rewatch all of that and just feel all those things, knowing what happens, knowing what they all go through, I left wanting to rewatch it versus a feeling of like, good riddance, thank God it's over, So yeah. That also to me speaks volumes, when it's like I feel like a show is rewatchable and I will want to watch it again all the way through, front to back at some point again in the future. That for me means I must have liked something. But yeah, no, I know there's lots of actually mixed opinions about the finale, so don't worry. Nobody here is annoying. Whatever you felt, you are not annoying. Gotta head out. Good night, everyone. Good to see you, Sal. Thanks for hanging out so much tonight. Enjoy whenever your tickets are for. I'm sure I'll see you before because it's happening the end of this month. When I don't know when Planet of the Apes is happening, but if it's happening between now and when I'll next see you, enjoy it. I'm probably going to get wrapped up as well here, folks. This flew the frick by. Don't tell Tom, but why does it feel like so much longer when he's here? I don't know what it is. I guess it's easier to sit and ramble and pass the time when you're by yourself. But I did miss him tonight. His presence was missed. Sorry, I keep burping. I chugged so much water before I did this, and now it's coming back to me for some reason. Bosco scenario, I'm so sorry you're just tuning in. Oh, Jason Olsen, I'm so sorry. Jalen Gatton, hello. What happened to Evil Ewok? Low-key, we've just put it on pause. I think Alex, I don't want to speak for them. I don't want to speak for, yeah, Alex and Zach, but you guys know that they've expressed their sentiments in past episodes. They just weren't feeling it too much, with the Bad Batch, so... And I'll admit myself, I wasn't staying up till midnight to watch those episodes, y'all. I would wake up on Wednesday mornings to watch them, you know, which doesn't reflect on how I feel, like, about the show, but it's just, like, you know, I stayed up to midnight for the finale, you know, for example, like, if I'm super excited about something, I'm gonna be staying up till midnight for all of the Acolyte, you know? I miss it a lot. We will probably be bringing it back for Acolyte, so stay tuned. And that's already frick coming up in a few weeks here as well. So, yeah. Also, I saw everybody talking in the pregame. I don't want to rub it in, but we did secure our celebration tickets for 2025, y'all. So I'll be seeing some of you guys there. Oh, Charlie, thank you so much, my friend. In a Chris Farley voice, cat, don't forget about me and Sean in the DMs. Oh, I will check you. I'll have to check my DMs. I will. I'm so behind. I had one day where I was like, I have to just do all of these, and then I spam replied to everybody, and then I exhausted myself, and then I haven't gone back since. But I will. Thank you so much, my friend Charlie. I saw that you got your tickets as well. I'll be seeing you in Japan. I can't wait. I can't wait. And of course, I don't want that to come across as like rubbing it in, because we got scared in the queue. I know a lot of people, I think, had trouble in the queue. It was looking grim there. We first got in and it was like, it'll take you an hour before you can access the tickets. And we were like, frick, no. So I however it turned out for you, whether you had interest in going or not, however it turned out, please don't take that as me boasting. I would hate to make anyone feel bad if it didn't work out or if you just weren't planning on going, but I had made a vow that no matter what, I was gonna go to 2025, and then when they announced Japan, I was like, well, I can't take it back, so... Oh, goodness. But yes. Alright. I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I know I usually take forever, but I actually have to go because our food's on the way, and I have to be there to pick it up, so thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry, that's like such an unceremonious, and I will do one of these again. No offense, I love Tom, I love Dork Discourse, but I also love just hanging out with just us. So stay tuned. Sal gave me a great idea. We haven't done a Night Owl stream in a while, and that always used to bring in a fun crowd, so maybe we'll do one of those. We'll catch up and do a little Night Owl action. Maybe this weekend. This was so much freaking fun. And I only had an hour to do it this evening, our usual Dork Discourse time slot, but stay tuned. Maybe I'll follow up again, because I miss you guys. Again, I love Tom. I know you guys love Tom. He's great. It's fun to have backup. It's fun to have a co-host. But I used to do these all the time. Just hangouts, just catch-ups with you guys. Not even necessarily talking Star Wars or anything relevant about film or television. Just talking about whatever the frick we wanted. And I would just get carried away and it would just be so much fun. So clearly, the time flew. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning. What's my saying? I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., whatever time it may be for you guys, wherever you are. May the force be with you guys. I will see you guys again very, very soon. I just meshed stay tuned and soon in my brain. Stay tuned. I will see you soon. Stay tuned for my Tales of the Empire reactions. But until then, I will catch you guys again soon. Bye, guys.